Example where we have class A, which is an integer A, can be public or subclass. Now it has a method called setA, which basically sets this variable A to whatever you pass in here, and then it has a method printed, which prints double A in uppercase. Then you have a class B, which extends A, right? So it has everything that A has, plus a variable B. The constructor sets A to 4 and B to 12. Then there's a set B to change the value of B. And then there's a printed method which prints BB in capital letters. Now we have a class C, which basically tests these two classes. First, it creates a myA object, and it sets A with the method setA, and it sets it to myA.a plus 1, right? Then you have a myB variable, which is of type B, that sets B to 13 and sets A to myB.a plus 1. Okay. Then we print out myA.a, myB.a, and myB.b, and then we call printed in A, printed in B. Let's analyze this step by step. What does a myA constructor do? Let's go to the A class. myA constructor does nothing, right? So a myA just creates a myA object, a new A just creates a myA object. Now set A to myA.a, which is 0 because it's not set yet. myA.a is 0 plus 1, so it'll set A to 1, right? Set A just assigns, whatever value you pass to the variable A, so it'll set A to 1. Then you create a B object called myB. You will set B to 13, which basically will set the variable B to 13, and you'll set A to myB.a, which is what? Look in the constructor. A is set to 4. Okay, A is set to 4. So you say set A, myB.a, which is 4 plus 1, that's 5. So the variable A in myB will be 5, and the variable B will be 13. So then you print myA.a, this one here, remember that's 1. Then you'll say myB.a, this one right here, which is this one right here, which is 5, and then dash and myB.b, which is 13. Okay, and then printed. MyA should print double A, and myB.printed should print double B. So let's compile this and run it, and it prints 1 for myA.a, 5 and 13 for myB.a and myB.b, and then printed prints AA, and printed prints BB over here. Okay, so what's going on here is that in the setA method, this is the only one that really has a difficulty, we've called the .a variable of myB. Class B doesn't have an A variable, but because it extends A, it gets it for free, and then it gets to set it in the constructor to 4. So when we increment it by 1, it's already 5. Now the variable B is also set, but when we say set B, when we call set B, we basically ignore that value and just set it to 13. Okay, that's what's going on here. Now, one really interesting property of inheritance is that subclasses can disguise themselves as a superclass in a way. So they can basically tell anyone looking at a program that they will behave like a superclass. For example, case in point is this one. I'm just going to copy this bit of code here. Oops, with this line there. There you go. So I'm just going to copy this code here and comment this guy. I can do something like this. myAB, so I'm going to create a variable of type A equals new B. Remember, B extends A. Therefore, B is a kind of A. Therefore, any object of class A can have a B at its core. Okay? And we'll talk about it like this. This is an object of type A whose, if you want, whose soul is actually a B. Okay? But for all the programs, and for everyone looking at this, it will behave only like an A. Basically, it'll have everything that an A has, and everything that a B has on top of A will not be, you won't be able to see it. Okay? So it is analogous to somebody walking on the street and you don't know that this person is a lawyer. You're not going to ask him or her legal questions, right? But at its core, this person is a lawyer. I mean, it knows all these legal answers, but you don't know to ask them because what's exposed to you is just a person. In here, what's exposed to the program is just A. So we can say system.out.println myb.a, right? Because all objects of type A have a variable A, little a, right? Now we're going to try to say system.out.println myb.b. But myab is an object of type A, and objects of type A do not have a B object, okay? And that is a problem. This line won't compile, so let's try to compile it. And then it doesn't compile. So for class A, the symbol B cannot be found, right? Cannot find symbol B in an object of class A. Although at its core is a B, and in memory it does have a little b, but for the program cannot see that little b, because for all programming purposes this is an object of type A for everyone who wants to see it. And myab.printed will call a printed method. Now let's analyze what this will print. First, we create an object myab, okay, of type A, but using as much as you can from class B. So when you call the constructor, it's going to call the B's constructor, okay, which sets A to 4 and B to 12. A to 4 and B to 12. Now B we cannot see because this A here will mask anything that's on B that's not on A. But we have said in this constructor A to 4. Right? A is a property of objects of type, little a is a property of objects of type A, therefore I can change it. In this constructor, that A has been changed to 4. So when I print it, this should print the number 4. Not 0, because the constructor of A was not the one called, but the constructor of B was called, right? I'm going to comment the line that doesn't compile. And then printed is an interesting one, because printed, it'll say, oh, is printed is a method of class A, but B overrides printed, okay? So when you say myab.printed, what happens is that the object myab, which is of type A, is going to say, hey, call the printed method. It's going to ask this object to call its printed method, right? And it will call the printed of actually a B, not the A class, okay? Just because B overrides that printed method. So if we run it, compile it and run it, you will see here's the dash line, so you can see this printout. 4, which is A, and BB, which is the printed method from the class B. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing, as a rule. If B has a method or variable, overrides a method or overrides a method or changes a variable that is present in A, B methods and B variables are going to be preferred. Okay? If B does not override a variable in A or does not override a method in A, then the A method will be preferred. The example here would be this. For example, I have another method here, public void print it true. I just call it print it true because I couldn't think of a better name just now. And then now the print line really let's print coming from AA. Okay. Now say we don't override this method in B. We do not touch it in B. Okay, when I say myab dot print it true, what's going to happen is, because printed true is not implemented in an object of type B, it's just going to use the implementation on an object of type A. So let's try it again, run it, and it says coming from AA, right? The minute, so here's the order of things. When I call anything on my AB, is going to see if that method, first if that method is present, the signature, it's going to see if the signature of that method is present in A. So when I say .A, it's going to see whether the A kind of objects have a little variable called little a, and they do, right? A objects have a little variable type A, a set A method, a printed, and a printed true. A, set A, printed true. So A, printed true, those are all legal operations in an object of type A. Now, which method is going to get executed? B's method or A's method? That's the second question. And what it's going to say is that if B has that method or changes that variable, the B variable is called. So when I say printed, because B implements printed, B's printed is going to be called. Therefore, that's why you see the two B's over here. Okay? Now here, printed true. Does B implement printed true? No, it doesn't. Then it calls the original printed true from A, which says coming from AA. Right? So, again, if I cast a variable B as an A object, I will only be able to call B's methods that are inherited from A or overridden from A, but not B's method that are not overridden from A. Now, if we do this in an array, in the next video we'll do this in an array, and we'll see how to call B's methods that are hidden within A. Okay.